What's up, guys? It's MLB Takeline, and I am back with a video. Today we're going to go over the 10 most disappointing teams in baseball so far this season. I know 10 is kind of a lot for disappointment, but I think there is 10 out there that we could definitely point to that have not been as good as we would expect, because you have like your 10 that are a little better than you would expect, the 10 sort of in the middle performing how you would expect, and then these 10 that are definitely underwhelming so far this year. So we're going to go over 10. We are going to put them in an order. Don't make a ton of the order, especially like if they're one or two apart, because it's kind of a hard thing to rank. But they are in an order, so let's get started. If you guys are new, we're going to be talking a lot of baseball on here, so make sure you subscribe. It's the best time of year in baseball, man. August, September, October. Number 10, that's the Baltimore Orioles. And you might be thinking, like, they're supposed to be atrocious. They are supposed to be atrocious. They were seen as a bottom three team coming in. I had them at 28, but they're 38 and 72. You would think that they would take a little bit of a step forward in their rebuild, at least a little, but they're on track for much over 100 losses again. And Baltimore, man, they're just not getting players to come up and be solid yet. And I get it. You're like, okay, they're in a rebuild, but by now, like, this was 3 entire years ago that they went 47 and 115. You would hope that by now they would at least be winning some games. I mean, there comes a point with these rebuilds that you don't want the fans to suffer for so long, especially because 2020, the Orioles, as insane as it is to say, the Orioles were kind of in the mix for the 8 seed for a while. Number 9, St. Louis Cardinals. They're 55 and 55. By the way, it's like 5:40 on Sunday when I'm filming this, so like half the Sunday games are over. Some are not over yet. So that's why if the record is like one off or something, this is just right now. But one game probably isn't going to change the ranking. So Cardinals are number 9. They're a 500 team. That's what they are. And it's disappointing because they were supposed to be seen as a weak top of the division team, but a top of the division team nonetheless. Give credit where it's due. Some people out there, particularly the more analytical people of the world, did have Milwaukee winning the division. Milwaukee's been better than anyone could predict, though, no question. But St. Louis, they were seen generally as that best team in a weak NL Central. It turns out the division's not quite as bad as we thought, but St. Louis is not quite as good as we thought. Young is terrible. Arenado is just solid instead of a star. Same deal with Goldschmidt. Number 8, the 63 and 49 San Diego Padres. So the Padres were having a season that was right along the lines of what you would expect for a while. And it's disappointing because Tatis and Machado are actually doing what you would expect them to do. Now Tatis is hurt, which this absence is a little bit longer than his previous absences, but he's been a monster when on the field, which he's played a lot. He's still a qualifier at the moment. He's still very much an MVP candidate. But you're 63 and 49. Most people expected you to be right around 100 wins. I had you guys 99 and 63. 63 and 49, you're only 14 over. You would like to be about 20 over, if not more by now, if you're San Diego. They're currently the second wild card. They're basically done looking at the division because they're in third place and they're more than 5 games back, and they have to just make sure they hold on to that wild card spot. The Reds are coming. Number 7, the Washington Nationals at 50 and 62, because I was sort of low on the Nationals this year. I ranked them at the 15th best team in the league. I didn't exactly think they'd be good, but they had the down year after the World Series last year. You wanted to, like, okay, that post-World Series being solid, kind of, that just isn't going to happen, obviously, because part of the reason of the disappointment is because they sold everybody off. They were actually coming. They were, like, pretty much below 500. Then the Schwarber streak happened, which led the team very far, that carried them over 500 and into division contention. But then they started falling off. Schwarber got hurt. They traded everybody besides their best player, Juan Soto, who is going to have to suffer, I guess. I hate to see it. I hope they find a way to get Soto out of there, because I will be so sad if Soto wastes his, like, age 22 to 27 years being awful. That man, as we saw in the 2019 World Series, loves to rise to the occasion, and he's great for baseball. He's got to be playing in October. But yeah, part of the reason the Nationals have been disappointing, their record is disappointing, but the fact that they are now going to be one of the worst teams in baseball for the next few years, that's disappointing too. Number 6, the team that is kind of paired with the Nationals in terms of this, expected to be decent, had some hope in the season, but then fall off and tear your franchise apart. You guys know who that is. That's the Chicago Cubs. At 52-60, the Cubs traded every member of their big three along with Craig Kimbrell. Um, Listen, I couldn't be more pleased with the destinations of the Cubs' big three. Javi Baez, until kind of Tatis took over, but still Baez kind of contending for. He was always known as like my favorite player in all of baseball. I'm glad to see him on an exciting orange and blue team, though one that is kind of in a rough state as it currently stands compared to what they should do. Um, in the Mets. Then Anthony Rizzo, obviously, to my Yankees. He's actually been off to a great start until, just like most of the Yankees, he catches COVID. Chris Bryant, probably the most exciting one of all, goes to San Francisco, the team he grew up rooting for, the team that's orange and black colors, the team that's one of my favorite in all of baseball, the team that is the best record in all of baseball. Man, San Francisco, you guys are amazing. But yeah, Chicago, you hate to see it because Wrigley has a top fan base in all of baseball, man. The Cubs fans are amazing. I like how they do the Friday afternoon games, being the only team that plays in the day on Friday afternoons because of the fact that they jam those games in. They're always on MLB Network. I'm always watching the Cubs on MLB Network. It was their tradition, and it's just going to be so interesting. The Cubs pack in every game more than any other team, partly because there's not that many seats at Wrigley, but still. It's just going to be so interesting to see. I think they're going to fall, even if they're an awful team. I think they still might have top half attendance, which is pretty cool. Number 5, the 61-50 New York Yankees. So while the Yankees have played better recently, they've actually had a really good record. I think their record has been better than they've played, though, if we're being honest, over the past month, especially the past stretch. They've won 8 of their last 10 ball games. That's after being shut out by Seattle today, which is another thing. The Yankees just don't show up to day games. Just a Sunday afternoon in the Bronx trying to get a 4-game sweep, and you fall flat, you score 0 runs. It just happens too much. While the Yankees have played better recently, and they've actually got a bit of a solid team record, this is still the 2021 Yankees, still very disappointing, but it has changed from playoffs being really not likely to playoffs being more likely than not. Number 4, the Atlanta Braves at 57-55. So I know Acuna's been out, but he's still played a real lot of the season. He still actually might be a qualifier. Might not be by now. It's close, but they've been average with him, and they've actually played a little better recently. However, they were seen as a top 5 team coming in. I had them at 5. Some people might have put them 6, but most people had them 3, 4. And for pretty good reason, you know. They've been there all the time, and like I was scared I had them at 5, so I wasn't really doubting them, but people tended to doubt this team, and they've been there, 3 straight division titles. But this year is different. They've just been average, and it's weird. Number 3, the 56-55 New York Mets. So I can't believe I'm saying this. They've had the division lead the vast majority of the season, and quite honestly, it hasn't even been particularly close. I was always thinking along the lines of, okay, Mets and Brewers, NLDS, unless something chaotic happens. And that chaotic thing very well may be happening in the NL East. The Mets are 2.5 back of the Phillies right now, and they're in 3rd place. The Braves even passed them out, and considering how much better a run differential the Braves have than the Mets, who are in the negatives, the Phillies are in the negatives as well, you would have to give the Mets the 3rd best chance to win that division right now. Still, though, that rotation fully healthy, and that lineup doing more of what it should do and not being absolutely atrocious, that's still a good ball club over in New York, and I still feel like they could show flashes of why I rank them 4th in baseball going into the year. Number 2, the 35-77 Arizona Diamondbacks. So the Diamondbacks were seen as a bottom 10 team, somewhere in the range of 21 to 25 coming into the season, but they are that team in terms of atrocity this year. I mean, there's still a race for the worst record, but they have been the joke of baseball throughout the entire first 4 months. And it's just weird because, yeah, they are that 2018 Orioles. They are that 2019 Tigers type team. On pace to go 51 and 111 on the season. Zach Gallen's been very disappointing compared to what you would have thought. Madison Bumgarner has not been able to reignite his career. Tel Marte has been good when healthy. They didn't trade him. And Arizona is a pretty hopeless franchise right now. Number 1 most disappointing team, the 47-64 Minnesota Twins. So the Twins were definitely seen as a top 10 team in baseball going into the year. And they have just casually, from the start, been one of the bottom 5 teams in the league. And that's crazy. Minnesota is supposed to be one of the good teams in this league, just continuing their era. Instead, they trade arguably their best player, Nelson Cruz, and they're just casually one of the more poor teams in this league. It's just crazy. What people don't realize is the Twins won 101 games just 2 years ago, and they followed up playing at a 97 win pace in the shortened 2020. They traded Jose Barrios as well. They were really bad to start, and they have been only slightly below 500 ever since like mid-May or Memorial Day or something like that, because they were, I believe, 13-28. So that's 15 under. They're 17 under at the moment. They just have a good series in Houston right now. But Minnesota, man, yeah, you're not going to keep playing awful. That's what people don't realize. They're not supposed to be awful. You're supposed to be good. So yeah, Minnesota, man, they've kind of showed they've kind of met in the middle of what they actually are between what we thought they were and how they played at the start. They've kind of met in the middle of that and played average. But now I would expect a pretty poor finish and losing more than 90 games because dealing off Barrios and dealing off Cruz, Minnesota just casually a bad team in this league, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go with their future. It's not good. I appreciate you guys who watched to the end. I really do. Give me a subscribe. Please give me a like. It will be greatly appreciated. Give me a comment with your thoughts on the video. And maybe comment a video idea you have if you have something you're really dying to make me see. I will probably do most surprising teams. And yeah, thank you guys and enjoy the rest of this incredible baseball season here on MLB Take Line.